Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, we're going to talk about addiction
Okay.
and the trauma that it leads to. So, you were kind of giving me a background before we ended up going live and everything.
Yeah.
So, where did everything start with you?
I come from a family. I like to be transparent. So I come from a family with some money, right? So, but like I've always said in my movement, money doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't solve every issue in your life, right?
Gotcha.
Makes things easier at times, but it also destroys families and it destroyed my family in many ways.
That whole
So,
money can't buy happiness. I do
right.
agree. It makes it easier to do certain
Yes.
things, but ultimately, that's not what we're
Right.
shooting for.
Right. It is a relief. Money is a relief. It's not happiness.
True. When you don't have to worry about paying bills, it's a
Right. That
relief.
is a
Right.
relief. That doesn't mean
Right.
it's happiness. So growing up, I wasn't supposed to be born, right? My dad was born in 1940 in one of the poorest households in Overbrook. He went to Overbrook High. He tutored Wilt Chamberlain in math. And he didn't do very well. He was dyslexic, but never diagnosed, right? And he grew up in a very, at that time, it was Black and Jewish, right? We're a Jewish family. And he always told me I had one pair of shoes with holes in it, two pairs of pants, and one shirt. I didn't even have a belt, right? And so my dad worked from the ground up. He was the one that bought his parents their first car when he was 16 years old, right? My dad went to the Air Force. He never wanted children. He was a very emotionally self-sufficient man. Now, what does that mean within a family? That means you're emotionally unavailable, right? Because you don't need anyone to support your emotions. So why do you have to support anybody else's?
Right, you're too engulfed in yourself. You
Yes.
feel like you don't need to lean on anyone.
Narcissism.
Gotcha.
Right. So when you grow up in a narcissistic household, your life doesn't really turn out how you want it to, right? Because the world revolves around you just like it revolved around everybody else in your family, right? And that's the mindset you grew up in. But also, there's all this pain and trauma and sexual abuse. Oh my gosh, it just gets worse and worse. Going through mental illness at 12 years old because of sexual abuse, being very sexually stimulated, but not losing my virginity until 17, technically, right? Going through that and not being able to speak of it because little girls shouldn't have voices. They should be seen and not heard, right? My dad didn't want children. He didn't. My mom was 12 years younger. He wanted the pretty little wife, right? He was 32. She was 20 years old. She had never been with another man. She had just flunked out of college. My dad was getting his PhD. He was about to finish. He worked his way from getting a 2.0 at Overbrook to a 2.6 at Penn State to somehow getting a staffing position at UPenn for them to pay for his whole master's and doctorate, get tenure and work there for 50 years and become a world-renowned scientist. You can't do that today, right? This is luck. And people always ask me about karma, right? And how it's not punishment, it's balance. And being Jewish has a lot to do with that because when, you try to rid a whole people, there's a lot of good karma that has to come out of that, right?
Gotcha.
But it's what you do with it. Understand? That's why my dad and similar families in the Jewish community stick together, right? Nobody wants to talk about it, but why does mental illness and other things, addiction, run rampant through the Jewish community?
So do you believe that it's more prevalent in the Jewish
Oh, yes,
community than in, like,
definitely.
in the Italian
Definitely.
or in
Mental illness, definitely. And I'm going to tell you why. But Italian, yes, I'm going to explain why in these different places. You got to remember,
maybe a different set of mental illness?
Judaism takes up like 0.01% of the world or something, right? Very few people, right? But it's in our blood. I am 75% Ashkenazi Jew, right?
Right.
So you can test for it. It goes back thousands and thousands of years. The problem with that is if we stick to our own and there's very little of us, who are we breeding with? And what happens when you inbreed for thousands of years? Why, when I went during my pregnancy, did it ask all these questions about my body? And then it asked, are you from Ashkenazi Jewish descent?
That was on the paperwork.
Yes. I said, excuse me, why are you asking me about my Jewish descent?
Right, your heritage,
They said,
right.
well, there's a lot of birth defects, but they don't explain that. Now, do they?
This is the first time I ever heard of that.
Exactly. Why do you think certain Italians suffer from it? Because inbreeding, right? You stick to your own. This has
Yeah,
been
the
a
Southern
prevalent
yeah.
thing. What happens when you inbreed dogs?
Yeah, yep. It's just like it's incest. It's no different than when
Thank
we
you.
talk about the cousin
And then
fucker.
why is incest running rampant through generations? and you don't even know it.
So in some way, shape, or form, what you're saying is everyone in the Jewish community is related. There is no like you don't like I might meet someone that's Italian, but we're not related in any way, shape, or form. But inside of that
There is a
smaller
very,
community.
very good chance that any Jewish person I meet, I am probably related, maybe very distantly. It could be like
But still, the bloodline is the
0.001%,
bloodline.
right?
Right.
Yes, the bloodline is the bloodline. We come from the same people,
Right.
right? If we have it in our blood, we come from the same people, right? That's why birthright to go to Israel, you just need 1% in your blood and they will pay for the whole trip.
Really?
Got to be under 27. But yes, this is the thing. Jews are not like other cultures. They want you to celebrate, right? When someone dies, we don't mourn, we celebrate. We sit Shiva and we laugh and we celebrate all the happy memories. Missing my mom's Shiva is what destroyed me. That is what seriously destroyed me. And I don't even know why, because let me go back to what I was saying. So my dad didn't want children, right? But they had children. My mom couldn't have children. She had 6 miscarriages. She wanted a family more than anything. My dad said, no, I want to travel the world. I want to be a scientist. I want to change the world. My mom's like, no, I don't think so. I want a family. 3 kids back to back to back with half an ovary.
Really?
Yes, half an ovary, because she had an ectopic pregnancy in her last miscarriage and it exploded and she lost an ovary and a half. They said she would never have children. And back to back to back, 1979, 1980, and 1982, she had my brother, my sister, and my other sister. And my dad said, that's it. Right? Because what happened? My dad is in the thick of his career. And what is he? He's a self sustaining man. Right? So what is he doing? He's traveling the world, going to court cases, doing 10-minute, statistical analysis for $40,000. He doesn't have time. Mom's home, right? But women nowadays, in my dad's mind, they're not just homemakers. You got to go to work too. So now my mom's at home while he's in fucking India doing a conference, and she has 3 little kids under 5, and she has to go to the Philadelphia school district and teach alternative kids who don't want to learn.
So
Right? So
when your family was younger, so your mom worked too.
yes, my mom always worked. My mom worked her life away. I didn't know my mom. She slept my life away because she thought those kids, since we had the money and everything, the privilege, that those kids needed more attention than her own family. And I agree. This is the thing. We can be angry at how things turned out, or we can help why it happened. Right? Or we can help change it. I started another podcast called Just a Felon, trying to stop the cycle of incarceration. Like that's ever going to happen, right? We're in a country where incarceration is punitive instead of rehabilitative. And why doesn't it work? Why is recidivism rates so fucking insane? Right? Why is Pennsylvania hiring COs and sergeants and everything, but they're shutting down every women's center and every women's.
When you start talking about people reoffending and going back,
Yeah.
environment does play but ultimately, accountability is one of the biggest things in anyone changing their life around.
Yes. But do you think the prison system,
Is teaching them. I don't believe so
or do you
because I
think
did
putting
time in
them
the
all in
penitentiary.
one place where they can meet different connects and different criminals and different
So I
mindsets to
feel
learn how to
like,
do different things?
well, here's how I feel about that because I was in the penitentiary.
Yeah.
I was in CFCF for a
Yes, you
year.
know how
So
it is.
yeah. So I feel like in the beginning when I was younger, maybe it was that. But
Mhm.
then when this last time I was actually clean when I went in and I got clean in Delaware County Prison, I wanted to change
Right, but who do we need to change the most?
myself.
You went the first time.
Right. Well, that was when I was 12.
I
Yeah.
know, but like you as a young man, right?
Right.
That's who we want to influence. That's what we want to change, because we found out way too late,
Right. I already have a
right?
point score.
The whole point of the mirror movement is for people to take accountability, right? If you hurt me, right now, that's valid. I can be upset about that. But if I hurt 100 more people in the next 20 years because you hurt me and I'm doing the same thing to them, I got to take accountability for that 20 years of pain I caused. Right. And yes, I have to take accountability that you gave me that pain because I let you and I let it control me for 20 years, whether you're
True.
in my life or not. You could
True.
be dead. How
Yep.
many people are still
Suffering your
in a
consequences.
box when someone's been dead 20 years? Still looking down at the ground when someone's been dead 20 years, still looking around corners. You understand? That's what it's about. It's a mindset, right?
Perception.
You can't change the cycle of incarceration. You can't stop it. I mean, you can change it, but you can't stop it. Can't stop addiction.
Right.
You can't stop bigotry. You can't stop any of this shit, right? And that's why I said, what is the one thing we can come to common ground on? Is the pain it comes from, right?
Right.
Childhood,
Well, I do believe you may not be
right?
able to eliminate everything, but I do believe you can curb a lot of things with the right people
Yeah.
and the right
Yeah.
information. And it's just like when you go to rehab.
Yeah.
I had this conversation the other night. Like if you go into a rehab, and I know I've been in a lot of them, you can tell a guy that read the book, and then you can tell the guy that was eating out the trash can with
Yeah.
you in Kensington. And I'm more prone. I think
Yeah.
that's why the anonymous programs work better, because it's that common ground.
Well, I always had this question when I was in prison and through rehabs. When you have a therapist, a drug therapist, right, or even a mental health therapist, do you prefer one that struggles with mental health and addiction or in the past, or one that just has a passion and never really just,
Give me the
like
person that
charity,
struggles.
charity.
Give me the person that struggles,
Exactly.
because they can put their foot
Right.
in my
The
shoe.
person that's doing it for charity doesn't care. Right? Yeah, they wanna help. They've seen it happen. They were the ones driving
Well,
the
I don't know if
private
they
school and
don't
seeing the homeless
care, but
man,
they can't relate. Like
It
when you tell me your pain, I can relate to
that's
that
why I mean
because
it's
I have
charity.
those
That's why I
feelings.
mean it's charity. Right?
Okay. Gotcha.
I come
Gotcha.
from money, right? Charity to wealthy people is different than charity from someone who doesn't come from a lot of money. You
Right.
understand? That's disrespect. I can make my own. You don't need to give me a handout.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I'm
Yeah.
not a
Yes.
homeless man on the street. How dare you treat me like I'm charity? You know how many times I've heard that in my life? Just because I want to help someone out to the point where I'm not even helping anyone out. Right? Because how dare you tell me I pay for your love and friendship when I'm putting clothes and food, right? That just doesn't make sense because that shows genuine care. I'm not paying for drugs. I'm not paying for alcohol, right? I'm not
Paying
supporting
for
your,
actual
I'm not letting
needs.
you gamble your money away. You're getting out of prison. I'm clothing you. I'm feeding you and I'm making sure you have a roof over your head,
Sustenance.
right? But what do? They fuck me over. They steal everything from me. They crash my $60,000 car down Diamond in fucking North Philadelphia while I'm in prison, right? Because they have all my money and they have my $60,000 car and I can't make a phone call. Who cares that I was feeding them because they have access now? You understand that concept? It doesn't matter that when I get out, I was going to take care of them for the rest of their lives. They have it now, and that's addiction. Instant
Oh,
gratification.
yeah.
They've never seen
Absolutely.
money like that in their lives.
Well, here's another thing. If you're in the middle of active addiction, I do believe it is the most self-centered thing that is known to man. Like there is nobody else. Like
Yeah.
you don't care. Like I stole the Christmas money out of my grandfather's.
Yes, but this is what I say on my podcast. Like it
Through addiction, it's crazy because you can be raised one way and then you end up there and you become animalistic
right.
to where it's like you lose. I believe the devil
Oh, the
takes your soul.
selfishness. That's what I
Yep.
want to talk on. Oh, so everybody comes at each other for
It's thrown around a
this
lot.
is the
Yes.
thing though. Everybody's selfish. When you do something selfless, you're doing it because it feels good. You have an ulterior motive, even if you don't think you do, it's subconscious. Right? Anything you do is selfish because you're doing it for a reason.
Right. Well, I
It
said that
doesn't have to be a malicious reason.
right. Yeah. No. No. No.
I said that on my podcast. I said, what is motivation but positive manipulation?
True.
Right?
They're manipulating you into
Think
feeling
think
better, so you
about
want to go to the gym, do all
this has
these
happened.
things.
It doesn't work out. How dare you have manipulated me and made how many times have you heard that from a woman? How dare you have played with my head? Right? But were you playing with their head or were you just motivating them to be better and they just couldn't make the cut? Right?
True. I believe
This is
some
like
things are
these are concepts that people don't like really grasp, right? I think thinking objectively and stepping back and looking at it like that, like people can't really understand that if you're in a conversation, you care, right?
right. If I don't like you,
If
I'm
I,
not saying nothing
right,
to
if
you.
I have to say I don't
Yep.
care, then I do care. If I,
right.
you know what I mean? If I have to say you piece of shit, why the fuck am I sitting right here in this car saying that? Because if I really felt you were a piece of shit, my number would have been changed 5 times over and I would have been in Texas, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's just what it is.
So when you said about the selfless to be selfish,
Yeah.
I said that to someone outside of a meeting the other night. I said, this program that I'm in, it is not the only, but it's a selfish to be selfless program.
Yeah.
Right? Because Me helping you helps me in some way,
Yes,
shape, or form, even if
yes.
it takes me away
Beneficial,
from me.
symbiotic,
Right.
right? That is a symbiotic relationship. That is a science. That is human nature. Manipulation is human nature. To use it as an insult is the same thing as a girl messaging me after I've been called a whore for 20 years saying, you don't even get any dudes. It doesn't even,
Yeah,
oh, thank
like,
you. I'm not a
it's an
whore anymore.
oxymoron, right,
Made it out.
right.
Made it out. Not
That's
a whore anymore. Thank you.
funny you said about
Case in point, I can get off the internet. Right? No, like seriously. Why would you even say something like that? Because you're literally messaging me over a man.
right. Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean, you know what it is?
it's
I
the
think
idiocy,
people
the ignorance.
people have a tendency to want to, feel more important than they are.
Yes.
They also want to, belittle people if you don't
Yes.
fit in their box.
Yeah, or
Um,
silence people that they think really have a voice
well, yeah,
because
because
they
they
don't.
don't have. Exactly.
Because
So
they don't.
that
All
was
they
the
can
whole
talk
thing.
about superficial things. What's going on in love and hip hop? Oh, is Aunt Susie still cheating with, your brother?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like that's
Yep.
what people want to talk about. They want to know what celebrities just died in the bathtub, right? Like, come on. It's like the seventh one. Let's stop talking about that. Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm
No,
over it.
absolutely.
Everybody wants to idolize and glorify, oh, the white lighter in 7 rock stars' pockets that died off heroin. Right? No, thank you. Why do you think everyone's fucked up on heroin? Because you glorified it in every fucking media,
Yeah.
every
It
movie,
so when they
every
I
thing.
learned, over the years when I was younger, I've always loved rap music. I've always
Mhm.
been into it, and I realized that I bought into it and didn't realize it was entertainment when I was 12,
Yeah.
and that's how I ended up
That's
doing 3
conditioning.
years. You know what I mean? Like,
That is
I thought
conditioning.
these streets loved
You've
me,
heard of
this is where yeah,
you've heard of Pavlov's conditioning?
yeah.
That is
Yeah,
conditioning,
it's no different than someone
right?
grooming a child for something else.
Yes. The way you love women, like we spoke about earlier, the way you love women and the way you accept love is how you learned it as a child. Is what you watched and how you received and how you watched a man treat a woman and vice versa. Right? You watching that as a child, even if you said to yourself, "Oh man, that's terrible. I don't like that." It's going to happen because
Right.
you learned as a child. You're a sponge.
Well, that's kinda like where I was at
Repetition,
with me and my kid's mom.
consistency,
Was like,
right?
it if you stay in the situation, no matter how much I turn to him and go, "Bro, this is not what a relationship really looks like.
Right.
Bro, this is not right."
Trauma bonding.
He is gonna eventually now, I mean, I'll say
Trauma
this,
bonding.
I believe there's a couple people that, like, you can have 2 people grow up in the same household, in a drug-addicted household,
Yes.
and one becomes an addict and one goes, "I'll never do that." So, I believe we are on a case-by-case
Right, yes,
basis.
there's so
Do you know
much
what I mean?
individuality in the world, right? You can't just say everyone is like this. It's not black and white, there's many gray areas, and it's our job to color everything in, right? So, I think
Yeah, I might be like you in one way, and then another way, you might be like, "Dude, we wouldn't even do the same thing in that
right, like,
situation."
the old story, it's a true story of the alcoholic father who has 2 twin boys, and one becomes an alcoholic and one becomes a successful businessman that never touches a drip of alcohol.
Mm.
Right? I mean, it's hard when people don't wanna look within themselves or look into their family, right? Many people don't want to go deep in there and expose that and take accountability because that means they were wrong in many, many situations, right? To sit there and say, "Hey, I've been hurting a lot of people since I was 5 years old because my parents hurt me." Right? And you're 45. Wow, that's the 4th step, like, my the rest of my life, right?
Yeah,
I gotta
no.
make a lot of
Yep.
amends to everyone. I can't even be mad at who hurt me. Not if I think about it like that, because I was hurting them back.
Well, it comes to the karma. Like, I feel like everything bad that has happened, even since I've been clean, I feel like in some way, shape, or form, I'm paying a debt.
Yes, of
Like,
course.
I'm paying a
Of
debt.
course.
So when I go in front of the big guy, he could be like, all
I
right, I
literally
beat you up
I
enough.
literally told my sister earlier that I can trace back everything bad to me that's happened to something that I did bad before it. And also everything good that's happened to me and something I did good before it.
So you're saying
Right.
you can physically see your connections
Yes,
to,
you can manifest, right? You can manifest
I do believe
anything.
that. I do believe that if
You can
you believe
speak
in your
things
head,
into
yeah.
existence. If you tell your wife she's cheating on you every day for 3 years, guess what? She's gonna cheat.
Well, that's just like if you keep telling your son he's a loser, he's going
Right.
to believe he's a loser.
I said that at the
Yep.
beginning of my podcast. I said, if you tell your son You're impossible.
He's always
You
gonna
can't even
believe
do the
that.
math problem. You're impossible. He's going to think he's impossible for the rest of his life. And guess what? He might even do everything to spite you. He might be so successful to spite you, but then when you come back and you say, "Oh, congratulations," he's like, "Fuck you.
Right, yeah, you
I
didn't
did this
believe
to
it.
spite you."
Right, yeah, you didn't believe in me
That's
then.
where I said
Yeah,
we need to make better children because of us, not in spite of us.
gotcha.
A
Yeah,
lot a lot of people don't understand that concept. Do you want your children to be different because they don't love you the way you need them to and you can't love them the way they need? Right? Love is different. You can love someone and they're not loving you the right way.
so I think for me and my son, because he lives with me, I want him to be better than me.
Yes.
Like, yo, dude, I love you. He's very different than me. He's not a sneakerhead. He doesn't listen to rap.
But I
He's a
bet you, how old is
skateboarder,
he?
emo. He's 15. He's
How old's your
emo-ish,
older son?
30.
I'm surprised. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know your children, but I could imagine that some of your children who watched you go through what you went through experience the same things in their relationship, trying to save people in relationships.
Yeah, you
Even
adapt.
if it's not in the same way, even if it's
You
not addiction, it's
right.
like little things.
You adopt that
Yes.
way
You
because
excuse
right.
things.
Yep.
Like you excuse her addiction, they'll excuse little things and maybe big things later.
Right.
Right, and that's what we mean by, like, we have to stop that from happening. We need to tell them, "Hey, listen, this is what happened. This is why it happened. It came from this pain, and we're gonna stop it now." Right? Like, you can't just sugarcoat shit and be like, "Oh, yeah, I did drugs, but I'm cool now."
Right.
You know?
No,
Because
there's a reason why you did
yeah,
drugs.
yeah.
Well, that's the whole point of getting
You can't
clean.
just say it's a distraction. That's the tip of the iceberg, right? That's
Right.
10%. There's 90% underneath where you need to explain why that happened.
Right. So it's just like anything else because if you watch someone stop drinking and they just stop drinking and they do zero work on themselves, they are
Mhm.
the most miserable people
Yeah.
because it's like, yo, you have yet to go
Complacency.
inside.
Complacency.
Right.
But complacency is in every area of our lives, right? It's not just addiction, it's the monotony of life. You think about those people that have the perfect lives and all of a sudden they just kill themselves or they kill their whole
Yeah,
families
yeah.
because the
Ones with all
monotony,
that
like you
money.
say,
Yep.
people say in my podcast, you think pain can explain everything in my life. Okay. I've never gone through anything traumatic. Okay. Wait,
Or
or like you don't even know you went through pain,
exactly.
right? The pain of growing up, the pain of not receiving the love language you need,
Right.
right?
Not
The pain of
recognizing.
having to choose whether you're going to get a Christmas present or you're going to eat that night, right? Many people struggle with many different things and it affects you for the rest of your life. I always lived with that ideal. Many people don't know the difference between presence and presence, right? Which do you prefer? Because many people will think they want you there, but they really just want something from you.
Right. Well, I try to get that with my son. I want the memories rather than
Yes.
like when my whole goal is that when they bury me, when they put me in the ground, I
Yeah.
just want them to go, he's the best man I ever met. Period. That's because
Yeah.
that's going right to
Why do you think I'm doing this? You think I want it to just disappear off the internet and then my son becomes 13 and he researches me on Facebook and everybody's sharing my mugshot saying, "We hope she burns, rot, fuck you, child abuser." You think I want him to like grow up and see that? No, I'm like, I'm going to change this because that's what they wanted, right? That's why those women destroyed me and broke me down for years so that my voice was so little I didn't think I could speak. So I didn't want to tell my story. When I started with my ex-boyfriend on the other podcast, every podcast he's saying, tell your story, tell your story. But we come from the same town and I know all those people fucking hate me. I know they're waiting for me to tell my story.
yeah, but in all
And you're not
honesty,
going to
who
force me to tell my
cares?
story when I'm not ready.
But I'm learning that anything, even in this podcast or whatever it's
Right.
gonna be, you're always gonna have
Right.
someone that's gonna be like, dude, you ain't gonna make it, dude. You
Right.
listen, I
Right.
love that shit.
It's a car crash,
I
right?
love that shit.
It's people driving by people's pain. Some people love it, like they like to magnify ants, and some people are like, "Oh, I'll pray for them." Right? Why do they say that? Thank God it's not me. Thank God that's not my car. It's always something
So
different.
you feel that's wrong for someone to drive by and go, man, thank God my son wasn't.
But why are you slowing down? If you're
Um,
so mad that other people are slowing down, you're stuck in traffic and you have to be somewhere, why did you slow down to also see the body bags in the
I
front
don't
of the
know if
car?
I slow down, but
You have at some point in your life.
yeah,
Everybody
I'm sure,
does.
especially in addiction, like
When
you
you
see
see a
some
crazy
wild
car
shit, yeah,
accident, you
or
just want to
just shit
see
in North
if
Philly, yeah,
people
you're
are alive.
definitely,
Maybe it is really you want to see if
yeah.
people are okay, but you do slow down and you were just mad that you've been stuck in traffic for 30 minutes because other people are slowing
Right.
down. That's the point. That's the concept. You drive by people's pain, but you've been mad at your own pain that these people are taking forever, but you're going to do the same shit.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
I
But if
mean,
that was you in the car crash, you're going to be like, fuck you. Hey,
right,
why are you watching? Pull over. Help me.
right.
Right? It's a metaphor. And with anything in life, it can relate to anything in your life because pain is in every part of your life.
Well, and most people don't think, like,
Even if you're the person that pulls over and helps, the metaphor works in every way.
I'm trying to raise my son to be a man that, like, hold the door.
Mm-hmm.
Ask somebody, "Hey, how are you?"
Yes.
Even if you
Yes.
don't really care, I said, "You don't understand that you can change the
Yep.
trajectory of
Yep.
someone's whole day
You know what? It's we
just by being
Yes.
kind." Literally.
We think very similarly because my son is about to turn 10, right? He's been through a ton of trauma. Ton of trauma. He's watched me go through a ton of trauma, right? And so he always says kids are saying mean things or just saying things that kids say when they feel slighted or feel bad about
Right.
themselves. Now, I say to him, we're not going to say that, right? We're going to pray for that person, right? We're not going to talk bad about them because we pray for people like that because they're not happy within themselves.
Right,
That's
there's
what I tell
something
him.
wrong
I
with
said,
them,
they're not
not
happy with
you.
themselves. It has nothing to do with you. And that's what I tell him. Even if I go into the bathroom and I scream and say, fuck that kid, I'm going to find his mom.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I'm not going to teach my son that.
right.
What is that going to do for him? It's going to build his hate. It's going to make him feel like people are jealous of him. No, he's just struggling right now. Let's pray for him. Okay.
Yeah. I
Because
had that
nobody taught me
conversation.
that. They said, "You are better than them." Like, look how look where I ended up going because they said I was better than everyone, and I wasn't, you know?
You're another human.
Exactly. So, when I was raising my son because I had my son for 4 years by myself, right? He would take off my shoes, he would tie my shoes, he would open doors. We would go on dates, and I would teach him how to do these things, right? That's what you do. Please, thank you, right? No, like, I don't hit children, right? I did the whole, "You're 2 years old, you're sitting 2 minutes in timeout," right?
I'm different. Grip my
I
son
am a
up.
gentle parent, but my son wasn't like that, right? He was an only child, first off, right? And he was a mama's boy. I'm 4 years old, "Mommy, I wanna marry you," right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's something about a little boy. See, this is what I mean by karma comes in the form of a child. A woman is given a little boy to love and to be loved. Many times it's because she is not being loved in the way she needs to by a man, and she needs to be taught.
Now, will that inhibit both of their growth? Because it can
It's
become
up to you. It's up to everyone. It's individual.
become very unhealthy.
It did become very unhealthy.
Do you know what I mean?
It
Like,
did become.
especially when when a boy goes to a man.
My son and I had a bond because his dad abandoned us. Right? His stepdad kept going to jail, right? And I found a new man that emulated everything he and I needed, which is what a master manipulator does. And he created a bond with my child and he started boxing with my child, teaching him how to box at 5 years old. And I don't tell a lot of people that because my son is being trained by Harry Yorgi's dad in boxing. And it doesn't make me feel good that the person that got him into that, why he's doing it. Right? That man created a bond with my child, and my child trusted him because he had a daughter his same age. My son still asks about his daughter. That's fucked up. And
And that's the person we were talking about.
yes, and
Okay.
he created this bond with my child and he became the perfect man until I got pregnant 8 months in. And I don't really talk about what happened after that. But my son got seriously hurt because I would not give him the family he wanted. And he used about 10 other women to put me in prison, manipulating them, making me seem like the crazy one, me seem like I was abusing him. And that's why he was abusing my child. But it's crazy because he was taking my child around them.
Crazy
He
part
was
is, like,
driving
you
my
can't,
car.
like,
I was telling them, "Hey, I think he's abusing my son," and they're telling me I'm crazy.
to Saint, it's insanity to even think that he could justify anything off of what you and him went through to take it out on the child. Like, I'm sorry, but and I've been in a lot of bad places, and I've done quite a few bad things, and even
Yeah,
being where I was, we don't. There's just certain
he got
rules
away
that,
with it.
yeah, I
I
don't.
was the villain. He made me the villain. My mugshot went viral. I went to prison on my first charge for 1.5 to 3 upstate. I don't even get a county bid.
I'm wondering why no one out there did
The
anything to
article,
him.
the article literally says I wasn't home and I had nothing to do with the abuse. It says the only reason I'm getting charged with endangering the welfare of a child, felony 3, is because I let that man around my child. But how many women are letting that happen every day, and it's sexual and it happens for years?
Right. Yeah, and you don't know.
How many people aren't blaming their fucking mothers?
Well, you don't nobody comes in with that kind of resume. So he wasn't gonna come in and
No,
tell
he wasn't
you.
going to come in and say, hey, I'm going to fuck you and your child up.
Right.
They don't come in. They're going
Yeah.
to act like they're the perfect person.
Yep.
Right?
Manipulation.
And then these women hate me because why is he doing this to me and why isn't he chasing after them? Right? Why is it all about me? Why does he keep talking about me, even if it's negative? Right? Because why do you have her car? Why do you have her son if you don't want to be with her? Right? Because he's trying to control me. The whole thing is a whole control tactic, right? To manipulate like a bunch of women. It was like a Ted Bundy trial. Right? Every
Yeah,
time I went
that's
to a
wild.
hearing, there's like 7 women in a group all thinking they're dating them. They weren't allowed in the courtroom. The judge wouldn't allow it. And as we opened the doors, they'd scream, "We love you, Stephen," in unison. And I'm sitting there scared, and they're saying I'm the problem. Right? And what does
Yeah.
he do? What does he do? They let him out on bail, $1,000. He goes, destroys my house with all my sentimental values from the top floor, floods it, everything caves in and shoots my dog in the head. And I tell the DA and she says, oh, there's no proof. Well, yeah, I guess it happening a couple hours after he was released and then you locking him up right after that. Yeah.
Right.
He didn't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it right out
What
the
were the
window.
chances of
Right,
someone
what is the
coming to
cha-
your house doing all these things
You know,
when
right
you're
after
going
he
through
post
this?
bail.
Right.
You know what I mean? The
You know,
only one
well,
that has a key. I don't know.
so here's the problem. The justice system at times fails. A
Yeah.
lot of the time. A lot of the time. I'm not going to say some of the time. A lot of the time. I'm not going to say that there's not people in prison that don't deserve to be there
Oh,
because
yeah.
there are some real sick people in this
Yes.
world. But
I met a lot of them.
yeah, I met them in Kensington. But the problem is that, you know, it's so hard to do a case by case basis,
Yeah.
but they need to do a little bit better. Like we need to get better.
That's why I say the mirror movement, because it's all individual, right? Something that works for you isn't going to work for me.
Not all
Right.
kids
So
learn the same.
that's why I mean, I can't judge you on something I went through or what he went through or what he went through because we're all going to react differently to pain, right?
True.
It might make you do drugs and might make me act out sexually.
It might make you go to the gym. It might make me
Right.
destroy myself.
Right.
Right.
When I go through traumatic relationships, I stop eating. Other girls get fat.
Right. Okay. I see what
You
you're
know what I
saying.
mean?
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just different, right? Girls say, how do you get like that? I haven't eaten in 2 months. You
Yeah.
don't want to do this.
Right.
Right?
You don't want to know my diet
Trauma,
schedule.
right? People aren't ready for that type of conversation because I don't have any filter at this point because all of you spread all my information all over the internet, all my secrets, and now I know things about me that I didn't even know.
Right.
Right, both real and not real, right? Because you guys taught me a lot by doing that because why are you so obsessed with me if you don't like me? That made me really think about it. That's why I started this podcast because why the fuck do dozens of people care about me if why are they saying things about me if they don't care about me?
Well, I think a lot of
Like, what is
times,
the obsession?
a lot of the times people don't want to live in their own life.
Right, they're unhappy. They're
So
unhappy.
they want to watch someone else's life. It's just like anything you see on Facebook
wanna
and
watch it
Instagram,
burn.
and you know, it's like the people that are on there that'll constantly put up all this good stuff. Like, yo, what do you do when no one's looking? What are you doing when no one's looking? Are you pulling to the side and helping someone change their tire? Are you
Well, I don't
like?
know how to do stuff
No,
like
I'm
that.
just saying,
Yeah,
like,
no,
not you. I'm
I get it,
saying
I
just
get it.
in
This
general.
is the thing. Why do certain girls on Facebook get 500